Good evening. This is Dale M. Gardner Webb. This is Mels 604. Today is Wednesday, November the 30th. It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm sorry. I apologize for having to start early, an hour early tonight, but we're predicted to have very heavy storms at 7 o'clock tonight, and I'm afraid we won't have any internet service if that comes to fruition. Storms just reaching us now. It's starting to rain and the wind's starting to pick up. So I'm going to be brief tonight because I don't know how long my internet connection will last if the heart of the storm gets here. So I'm going to dive right in. This is Zoom session 12. Tonight is about teaching models and empowerment. So let's look at our weekly schedule. So week 12, selecting and applying models of teaching, view great leadership in the classroom, that YouTube. And so I'm going to speak to you about teacher empowerment, about that's the way that you get great models of teaching in classrooms, is you allow teachers the freedom to collaborate and to work, especially in PLCs, to develop those models of teaching. The models are out there. What's important is how you get the teachers to where they can do that. Hello, Melissa. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Again, I'm sorry to start early tonight, but we're predicted to have bad storms here about 7, so I didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the storm's already here, so it's my connection hopefully will last long enough to get through. I'll try to get through in about 30 minutes tonight. I'm afraid my connection may not last longer than that. You have any questions before I dive in?
No. I'll just go with, if I have questions, I'll wait until you're done to see if you answer any of them.
Okay. I'm not going to review any. Task stream should be about through by now, looking at our weekly schedule. You should be just submitting the last of your things by now. You've only got one more discussion board. I started early 2 weeks ago on interviewing, and I will complete that in the week 14 wrap up. I will spend that session on interviewing. I covered the first 2 types of interviews 2 weeks ago in that session. I'll hit those again and then delve into interviews rounds 3 and 4 in 2 weeks. Tonight, I want to talk about empowerment. And again, that's the way that you get great models of teaching. The models are already out there. The trick is get teachers to adopt those. And the way that you do that is by empowering them to make their own decisions.
Right.
That's the secret. So there is a secret to how you get great models of teaching in your building. It's not just introduce the models to the teachers. That won't do it. You have to give them the platform or the vehicle to adopt those, and that is teacher empowerment, giving them decision-making ability. And so that's what I want to talk about tonight. Now, if we go back to our Zoom session 12, our screen in Blackboard, I'm not going to open this first document up. You should open it up and read it. It's a longer document, but within it contains an article. That article was written out of a dissertation that was done at Gardner Webb just a few years back by Marty Hemrick. Marty just retired as superintendent in Wilkes County Schools.
Oh, wow.
But Marty wrote that dissertation with Dr. Urey and Dr. Shellman, and it's a really good one. It's becoming known nationwide, this article on the effects of teacher empowerment, how that affects teacher efficacy, their outcomes, how good they are in their classes. So that's a good article to read. I'll leave that to read on your own. I've got 2 PowerPoints tonight. Let me go right into those. The first one is a very short PowerPoint. Teacher leadership practice and participant discussion group for teacher leadership best practices. This is a PLC, and it's just a quick. This is And you have checklist elements, or what we call norms, values. We have deliverables. This is just a reminder, team discussion of teacher leader practices within the school, reviewing feedback and collecting team perceptions. This is kind of the way that this is the start out of how you enter into teacher empowerment and how you would adopt models of teaching. All right, and then the next PowerPoint basically is the how to become a community of leaders, how to empower teachers to become leaders so that they can adopt effective models of teaching. Bartering to building to bonding to binding is kind of the process. Some practical issues: the more the better. Leadership should be shared. Results include many leaders rather than one dictator. Becomes responsibility. It doesn't do any good to set up PLCs if you don't give them the authority or the autonomy to pick their own teaching models.
Right.
As I have stressed, the way that you build great teachers in your building is through PLCs. They share the successful things that they do. They develop effective models of teaching. But it's more than just naming 6 teachers and putting them in a PLC. You have to give them the autonomy to work inside of that PLC to make their own decisions. Teachers have to take the initiative, accept responsibility, and become active leaders. Gather the principal, and teachers must become a community of leaders. New leadership values: purposing, followership, empowerment, accomplishment, collegiality, intrinsic motivation, quality control, simplicity, reflection, and outrage. Outrage, at the current state of events, I guess. So purposing, determine direction, bring together a variety of resources. That's what I'm talking about. You have to every teacher has to bring something every session. This is working in my classroom. This is an effective model of teaching for me. And that's kind of the heart of the thing is you have to bring these things in, and folks have to work through those as a group to find out what works best for them. Teachers, parents, and students agree and share the same vision as the leader. The agreement is documented, is considered a covenant. The covenant results in high levels of motivation and commitment. That's norms and values. That number one norm is it's all about student achievement. It's all about learning. It's not about anything else. It's not about the convenience of the adults in the building. Followership: dedicated followers manage themselves. They're committed to a purpose and fulfill obligations to school. Good followers think for themselves and display persistence and practice self-control. The pessimistic view: subordinates are not team players. They only complete the minimal requirements of their duties and depend upon others to inform and support daily actions. That's exactly what you don't want. That's kind of the state of where we are now. And the notion here is to move past that to what we want. Areas of enabling for empowerment is autonomy, staff training, and workshops, keeping the path clear of bureaucratic obstacles. That's why I asked in your discussion board for last week, what's your model of staff development? Is it top down or bottom up in your school or school district? For PLCs to be effective and for them to develop and discover, develop, and implement effective models of teaching, the staff development must be bottom up. It must be driven by the PLCs and must move up rather than down from the central office.
Right.
That's the biggie there. That's the takeaway from staff development, is it has to be driven by what the PLC needs, not driven from the central office. Accomplishment: power to is in facilitate and emphasis on reaching potential. Pessimistic view is power over, controlling, expresses dominance and control. These groups have a leader, but you're all equal participants, including the principal that sits in on these. And as I told you, I've given you some models and some some ways that, as a leader, you have to start out with how do you set up a PLC, then how do you run a PLC, and then how do you manage numerous PLCs. We're not asking you as the school administrator to run PLCs. You need to learn how to do that so that you'll know how to teach teachers to do that.
Right.
But you have to manage them. They run themselves. If they don't run themselves, they're not effective PLCs, and they won't last.
Yeah.
They're not sustained. Intrinsic motivation, rewards equal work. No rewards equal no work. The reward must become the completion of the task. Again, norms and values, accomplishments, accomplishables, deliverables. That's what's important coming out of PLCs. Quality control is typically seen as management problem solving. I told you PLCs are a management tool and have to be managed by the leader. They're a way to manage your organization. You're not asked to lead them. They are not leadership opportunities for the school administration. They're leadership opportunities for teachers. They are not leadership opportunities for they're management opportunities for you as the school leader. That's why I said you need to learn how to manage, and I've been clear with that language. We move you from how to set one up, how to run one, to how to manage multiple ones, because that's the role of the school administrator in the true PLC. You just manage them. You don't lead them. They lead. The teacher leaders inside of them lead those. You just have to manage them for quality control. If you're leading them, then they're not actually PLCs.
Right.
Small is beautiful. Simple is better. More than 6 is not a PLC. It's a mob. I actually prefer 4. That's hard to do in larger schools, easy to do in smaller schools. Mm-hmm. They must be small and nimble. If they're big, they're unwieldy. Reflection is a critical element. Evaluating, reviewing practices regularly, and that's what we're talking about here, is teaching practice. That's what PLC should be about, is teaching practice. Too many times we use PLCs for other things that aren't really what PLCs are designed for. Professional learning communities are about best teaching practices. They're about effective models of teaching, period. And if you're using them for something else other than that, then you're not purposing them correctly. Adapt and modify needed changes. Outrage is shared. Focus time and energy wisely. Positive communication is key. Controlling intensity and passion limits outrage. Outrage is, over the current conditions and what we aren't doing, and our data is not good. Data must drive instruction, and the way that we handle that data and the way that we use that data to come up with effective models of teaching is through the PLC. Connectivity to new leadership values build on each other. Change is measured collectively through each learner community. Learning community desire to understand and implement these new values will determine the rate of success. Let me say that one again. The learning community's desire to understand and implement new values will determine the rate of success. That's pretty self-explanatory. So this is kind of a short and dirty. 3 weeks ago or 4, I went over the how-tos of how I've gone over this semester in our sessions, how to set up and run a PLC, how to set up PLC, how to run a PLC, and how to manage multiple PLCs. Tonight, this is about how, the reasons why you do that, and it's all about teacher empowerment. So hopefully this will help make sense of what your job in terms of a school leader is in the role of PLCs, and what the role of the PLC is inside of your building. So that's that. Again, read this. Again, going back to Hemrick Empowerment, read that one. That's a good one. Make sure, let's do a couple of housekeeping things tonight. Let's look at assignment Dropbox. If it will come up. Make sure that if you have, these are things that were that were due in task stream this semester,
Mhm.
all of 2 of APTEL final and component 6D. Make sure that all of those are in task stream, and once you drop them in task stream, you put them in here.
Okay.
Assignment Dropbox. Also, your peer reviews, either written or the video ones. I think there should be 2, 4, 6. That's the minimum requirement per semester is 6.
Okay.
Make sure that you put your peer reviews in here, and that's pretty much it. Of course, you have your discussion boards. Now, you've probably figured out by now that discussion boards, most of you have done most of them. I'm looking at the numbers, they're good. Try to make sure that you get to all of your discussion board assignments. I see one's coming in the last few minutes. Now, I did not link this to the grading rubric this semester because when you folks came in and started in 601, that was not part of the catalog. So I have not, they're not optional. They are to be done, but I did not link them to the grade center. But your grade will be dependent upon, you know, what effort you made on these and making sure that everything's in your assignment Dropbox. And if you do that, you should be good. I sent out an email this week. If you didn't get one, that's a good thing. I only sent out an email to those who seem to be a little behind. Most everybody's doing fairly well, but we had a couple who are a little behind. And if you should have gotten an email from me this week, remind you to catch up. You know, again, the most important part is the work that goes into task stream and those peer reviews because they support the work that goes into task stream. And then these discussion boards, but I do take them into consideration in grading. I do not have them directly linked. Now, classes that are behind you folks, like 603, 2, and 1, their discussion board is actually linked to their assignment Dropbox and is factored into their grade. But because of the handbook, the 14 handbook that y'all came in under, they just are to be considered in grading. So I've had some questions about how, if I don't get to all of the discussion boards, how will it hurt my grade? Well, I'll factor that in with the other work that you do. It's not a points taken off like it would be for classes behind you. So if you know somebody in 603 and they said, but if we don't do them, it counts points against us, they're right. They came in under the next handbook. But you folks are under the current 14. This is the 14 handbook for y'all, 2014. So that's the way your grades will be determined. As I said, we have 2 more weekly sessions next week. Looking at next week, we will do curriculum design and development. And then the last week, we will go back in Zoom session 14. We will pick back up with interviewing again. I've already done first written interview, second interview, the group. I introduced the third interview by the principal. I talked briefly about the 4th interviews. I will cover my top 10 for job interviews, the 5 things to bring, your 2-page evidence summary. I will cover all of these again in 2 weeks when we do our final session. Okay. Again, the offer is open. If you need me to come by and see you, I went by and saw one of our students last week during the week off. If you need me to come by and see you, or if you need a visit from your clinical coach, just let me know and I'll relay that, or I'll come. I think I have visited I've visited all of my interns, many of them twice this semester. The ones that might have been struggling a little bit, but or needed a second visit. So I know I've seen pretty much all of my interns, and I've seen many of you who are in my class. I've seen you this semester. Make sure that if things aren't going as like you think they ought to be going, you need to share that with me, and I'll do what I can to help you. But we're winding down now. We've only got 1 more week of actual content, and then I'll wrap us up with interviewing. You should be very quickly now concluding all of your task stream work for this semester. I highly encourage you to continue on and try to finish out your task stream work, the remaining components that you have during the Christmas holidays, and get those in. as soon as you can after the new semester starts. Don't let that drag on. Make sure you understand that if you're in 604 now, that your clinical coach and your site supervisor have to do a certification of competency. That competency will be based on, for your clinical coach, will be based on your competency folio, that you have one example of all the 21 competencies in there in that folio. That's what your clinical coach will make their certification competency decision on, and your principal will make their decision on the 400 hours that you have done at your school. So make sure that you understand that those are due next semester as well. While I'm here, wow, the storm just picked up. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. Ooh, it doesn't sound good. I'm gonna go to task stream quickly and remind you that your clinical coach. Oh, it's pouring down right now.
It's nice in Raleigh.
Yeah, it won't be in about 4 hours. It's moving at about 50 miles an hour, they said. So maybe it'll go north of you folks, and it won't.
We need rain though.
We were supposed to get. It didn't rain a lot last night here, and we're so dry here. It did not rain a lot, but hopefully we'll get some tonight. Maybe we'll make up for it. It was just overcast today. Folios and web pages, again, if you know how to set that up, I've shown you. This competency folio, again, you need one example for each of these 21 competencies. You do not have to do professional dispositions or digital learning competencies. You stop at visionary. Make sure you have one example in there for each of those by about April 1st of next semester. I would suggest by March 1st. And that is how your clinical coach is going to make their decision when they go in and do your certification of competency, that you're competent in all 21 of those areas. The 21. So
I had submitted a competency, and you said just to put like a couple sentences about how it applied. How specific, how detailed does your like summary need to be about? Because I just submitted one.
Well, let's look at Drew's.
Okay.
All right. He's in your cohort. He's not in our class, but he's in your cohort.
Okay.
Let's look at his. Now, some are doing more than this.
Okay.
All right, attached to the candidate has impacted communication. Okay. Did 2 sentences. There they are. These two right here. Can you see those?
Yes.
That's it. That's what I expect, is about 2 sentences.
Okay.
And then there's the proof.
Right.
And he has a variety of proof. There's a PowerPoint. Again, he has a couple of sentences right here are his sentences, and then he went further to explain this is an actual part out of an artifact, an evidence artifact, and he just instead of putting a link to it, he just copied and pasted it there. Here's a screenshot. He's got 2 sentences that explain his screenshot right here, and there they are.
Okay.
That's about all we need.
Okay.
Just a couple sentences to explain what we're looking at and why it fits, that particular competency.
Okay.
And so I've been very pleased. I've got a lot of, Lorraine's done all of hers. Joyce, let's see. I believe Joyce has done about all of hers. Let's see if that's right. Yeah. So she did 2 sentences and there's the email. So instead of attaching a document, she just copied and pasted the email in the box.
Okay. So when we write our summary, instead of using first person, should we say the candidate?
I prefer first person myself.
Okay.
A little bit.
You had said that to submit when prompted. When will it tell us to be able to submit it?
Sometime around March 1st.
Okay.
What's going to happen is they're going to put you a box in your regular DRF portfolio for your competencies. It's already there for the 601s. And when you click on that, it allows you to copy this folio over to your regular DRF portfolio where you have your evidence artifact work. And then when you do that, it will be submitted for evaluation.
Okay.
So that button's not there yet, but there's a button coming. So right now, let me see. Let me log out. All right. So right now in your regular DRF portfolio that I just went into, it's not there. But supposedly there is going to be, I guess down here toward the bottom, there's going to be, Dr. Hamilton showed me that the other day, there's going to be a place for you to upload that folio, this folio that's right here.
Okay.
You will be able to upload that folio over here, and when you do that, it will be then submitted for evaluation.
Okay. But and then there's two components that we haven't had to submit yet.
5E and 6F.
Yes. Can we, if we submit those this semester, will you give us feedback on like?
I will.
Okay.
The semester never stops for me. If it's over the holidays, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I will get those back to you.
Okay.
All right. Let me see if any of these questions, I get questions online during the class too. Let me see this one. All right, so that's a question for 601. Those questions come in. So I don't have any more. So yes, I will give you feedback on them. We want those done as quickly as we can get them done. Please remember, on your university dispositions, you need to go ahead. If you haven't done the dispositions 3 and SOE disposition semester 3, you need to do those now. And you can do 5 as soon as the spring semester starts. You need to follow up with your site supervisor. You can look on your scores results page. Let me do that for you. And you can look down here. You can see this particular student, their site supervisor did their disposition semester 1, but not 3. That needs to be done. And 5 can be done anytime after next week.
Okay.
So those two, they've got to do these. Now, again, your site supervisor will do certification of competency based on your 400 hours of work that you did as an intern. And your clinical coach will do it based on that competency folio that's right here. So make sure that you remember to do that folio. And again, there'll be a place for you to upload it next semester once it's done.
When can we upload our internship log?
Anytime you get 400 hours.
Okay.
As soon as you hit 400, I'd put it in there.
Okay.
And get that signed off on by your clinical coach as soon as you can.
Right.
And move on to other things. There is no penalty. There's for finishing early. We like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like for my interns to be pretty much done by the end of 604. That way, if we have problems, we have time to work them out in the spring before we get to the critical deadlines.
Right.
Okay. So this is for the group that's listening or we watching later on. If you have questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Let me help you. Let's make sure that our whole group gets through on time. I don't like 699s. I work with them all the time, but I don't like 699s. I like for folks to get through in 5 semesters. It's not that expensive to go that 6th semester. It's only $520, but that's $520 you don't need to spend. You need to get through this spring so you can get on with getting a job. All right, log out of this. Okay. All right. All right, so we're back here. All right, so next week we'll cover curriculum design and development, discussion board, and then we'll be done. We'll wrap up the final week. Again, questions, problems, issues, let me know. I can't help you if I don't know. Don't assume that I know. And so let's make sure that we get all that we need to get done this semester and that we're ready to be finished on time, or get all of our work done early so we're ready to finish on time. All right, so Melissa, thank you for joining me tonight. If you have questions, issues, problems, don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and I will see you next week at, hopefully, if it's not stormy, at our regular time. I'm going to sign off. I can see my video quality's already dropped down so low now from this storm, but I can barely see Melissa's picture in the screen here, so I'm going to sign off. It's giving me a blinking sign, so I better sign off. I'll see y'all next week. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.